So we are in Honolulu, Hawaii at the moment. This is Raghu-Nomics. We are in ISKCON with Prabhupada, and this is the president of the economics, Raghu-Nomics.
Yes, so Raghu-Nomics. I grew up in India in a boarding school called Gurukul by Prabhupada, and Raghu-Nomics sounds like it's named after me, but actually it's named after Lord Ram, who is the Vedic ideal king. And so this is to present my understanding of how Lord Ram would view today's problems and solutions. And the training of Gurukul for Prabhupada's vision was to offer a generation of devotees that could provide spiritual insight to the problems of the modern day, to the leaders of the world. So Raghu-Nomics is to carry that legacy of Prabhupada's vision, and that's the mood of it. And it's not that I set out to carry on Prabhupada's mission. It's that I just saw things differently. I started sharing it with people, and people go, "Well, that's cool." So, as an example, so Raghu-Nomics now has 12 books, 3 of which were lost, but the others are online. So one of them is the Hawaii Renaissance.
Okay. Do you see it?
Put it closer, you can. And
what's that? The
cultural mecca of the Pacific.
Okay.
So it's a 10-point marketing program, and the concept is simple. So here's the cool thing about when you take a spiritual perspective, it actually makes things more simple. It takes what appears to be very complicated, but when you get a spiritual perspective means a higher perspective. That when you have a broader view, you get a crisper lay of the land, a bird's eye view. And so this is a 10-point marketing plan for Hawaii that demonstrates the point, which is this, that the retail model for Hawaii today is as a retail platform for international brands. Have you been down to Waikiki?
I have, yes.
And did you see the big fancy stores for Chanel?
Yes.
And for Gucci and Ferrari? So our retail platform is bringing in international tourists, the top shoppers of the world, to Waikiki to sell them international brands. And Hawaii makes its money from people flying here, staying in the hotels, and then renting the space out to these international brands. So it's a retail platform for international brands. We're saying instead of making $1 million renting a storefront to Gucci, who then goes and makes $5 billion a year, we want to be the Gucci that's making $5 billion a year, but of the Hawaii brands. So we call it export tourism, that we want to build out a market for Hawaiian-made goods. So as we now use Hawaii to sell them and build a market for Gucci, Ferrari, and Chanel, we should be doing that for Hawaiian-made goods. So it's a very simple, it's not a complicated idea, it's a relatively simple idea. And the response has been good.
How are you going to create the attention? So people's attention will be on Gucci and people's attention will be on Chanel, and they're going to gravitate towards that. How are we going to shift it so their attention won't be so much on that, but on these Hawaiian brands and stuff?
Thank you. So that was the perfect question. When you want to sell a product, you sell a lifestyle. So the best example is Adidas. Was it Adidas?
Adidas or Nike.
Nike.
One of them, yeah.
Nike, there we go. It was Nike. So Nike came in and created started glamorizing and advertising running. So before Nike came along, running was for something you did at college if you went to a good college, or if you're a football player. But the rest of the country didn't really run after they left high school. So Nike came and they started promoting running. And I remember that, it was like in the 80s, and you started seeing these articles showing up and these different runners. So the way you sell a lifestyle is through celebrityship. So first they promoted running, and then they started promoting celebrities. So celebrities, sponsoring a celebrity used to mean you pay them $1 million, which was considered a lot of money. Nike came along and said, here's 30 million, 50 million, 150 million. So they really upped the game. So here's a man who's now making 150 million and he wears Nikes. So that's the formula. The way you promote a product. It's not to do it at the expense of the other products, but rather to really add a new, clearly defined focus of what we're after as a tourist model. So we call our lifestyle Hawaiian style. And Hawaiian style is to find the Hawaiian alternative to what we do daily. So instead of potato French fries, we would have breadfruit French fries.
Okay.
So when they come here, we would want them to have breadfruit French fries 2, 3, 5, 8, 10 times. Instead of orange juice, it would be passion fruit juice,
Yeah.
which happens to have more vitamin C and less citric, citrus, less acidic.
Yeah.
Instead of soy oil, it would be coconut oil. So we would have the list of alternative products that is part of their daily routine. And the idea is when they come here, they get, exposure to 10, 12, 30, 50 of these different, it's a cultural immersion now.
Okay.
And instead of the Hawaiians and Hawaiian culture now being a peripheral background, to Gucci, they will now be front and center.
Okay, so
what we're selling is the Hawaiian culture.
So like this will help the locals because this is what they can produce instead of this is not what they're shipping from really
Italy
far.
and China.
Yeah. So it's all very just local. It's all very in touch with our earth. What's local. What's there. It's just like your doorstep and stuff. And yeah. So how will this help the locals in that kind of sense? Like what?
Finish that sentence.
So what will they benefit? Like what will they benefit from if we're kind of using more of locally used and stuff.
So twofold. So remember I told you that to sell a product, you sell a lifestyle, and sell a lifestyle, you sell celebrities.
Yeah.
So our celebrities will be artisans.
Okay.
So that will be the artist, that will be the artisan farmer, the artisan coffee maker, the artisan chocolate maker. And this artisanship, this artisan celebrityship, it fits very well with where most other countries are.
Yeah.
So what movie stars are for Americans is what artists are for many of these other countries. Italy, France, Germany, China, Korea. They adore their artisans, and so they'll be very responsive. That here's our artisan farmer, and here's our artisan coffee maker, and here's our on the one side, and then the arts on the other. So the hula dancers, and so instead of them getting this blaring, international brands, they now will be put with the Hawaii and Hawaiians and farmers as the centerpiece. So as an example, if you're a farmer and you're over on the Big Island, you should be over in Ala Moana 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 times a year, representing a product. So, when the tourists from France or Germany or the little Japanese girls, they will see the farmer there, roasting their chocolate beans. And then when they go home, yeah, I know that. So the one side, like you said, they produce it. So the advantage that we have is twofold. Well, what were you going to say?
Just now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So that puts them front and center.
Yeah. Well, what can people like me or anyone who's living here help this new way of our society being a lot more, I guess, present with, just supplying money to the locals and kind of not by mass-produced kind of things, because they're everywhere. So, like, what would you recommend? Just what can people do at home, or what can people do individually to help this kind of?
Funny you would ask. It just so happens that we have the American Shopping Party. I'll put it a little bit closer so you can. Oh, it didn't. No. Is it getting in?
Let's see. Should I? Let's have a look.
We can shoot it after.
There we go. Okay.
So the centerpiece of the campaign is this buy locally made. It's called the American Shopping Party. We will be re-registering it as of March 7th when the ballot opens, 2019. And we are asking people simply to buy locally made just one day a month on the first Saturday. One day a month, if we got 300,000 people, that's about 15% of the tourists, 15% of the Hawaiian population. So you get 500,000 people coming out to buy locally made. Every store is going to carry something locally made on that day. And once they have a space on the shelf for that one day a month, most of them, I'm assuming, will end up carrying it for the entire month. So you've just created a very solid space for locally made with just one day a month. And it makes it very easy for the stores. And if we can get 10 to 15% of the tourists to join us, that would be about $2 billion in new business for local business. So one day doesn't sound like much, but it's actually 2 weeks a year. So our idea is to throw a wild party one day a month that would attract the tourists to come and join us on that day. But this is not actually about shopping. Just like Nike wasn't about the sneakers, it was about the celebrities. So this is going to be about our celebrities. It's going to be about our farmers. It's going to be about our artisans. So it's a celebration of our best rather than just the act of shopping.
Yeah.
And that makes it a far more touching and personal experience. So there's one point I keep forgetting to say it. I forgot it now.
Okay. Well, how would this benefit someone like just anyone? How would this benefit anybody? In if everybody did started buying locally, or everybody started to do